6 spine-chilling true tales of sinister psychopaths. Discover the forbidden horrors that haunt us. Lisa Parker sat at the kitchen table, her pulse hammering as she stared out at the darkening suburban landscape of Maplewood. The usual laughter of children playing on the street was replaced by an unsettling quiet, like the calm before a storm. Shadows stretched ominously across the manicured lawns, whispering of dangers lurking just beyond reach. Little did she know, something sinister was creeping closer. Her unease began 2 days ago when the mail was missing not a single letter or bill to greet her. At first, she shrugged it off. Maybe the postal service was behind, she thought. But then there were the creaking floorboards, noises in the night that turned her blood cold. She could have sworn something was watching her, lurking just outside her window. It was all so irrational, yet undeniably potent. On this fresh autumn evening, an uneasiness gnawed at her mind. That when she saw them strange canisters just beyond her flower-bed. Their mysterious labels sent shivers down her spine, a warning sign that demanded attention. They didn't belong there. What kind of neighbor leaves bizarre objects at the property line? Then there was Tom, the affable yet unnervingly intense man next door. His smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. Instead, there was something predatory behind his friendliness. Lisa couldn't ignore the whispers she overheard at the diner. Disappearances had been reported, families vanishing without a trace. Just urban myths, everyone said, shaking their heads and waving away any thoughts of fear. But Lisa's instincts screamed otherwise. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the darkness deepened, her anxiety escalated. Odd noises from Tom's yard grew louder, tension wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. Her children, Jordan and Lily, were playing in the living room. She could feel something gathering on the horizon, a storm of dread that threatened to rip through her home. Lisa's heart raced as she confronted Tom one moonlit evening, a desperate act that would determine everything. "What are those canisters?" she demanded, her voice trembling. For a fleeting moment, his facade cracked, revealing a flicker of something alarming lurking behind his calm demeanor. The pleasant conversation morphed into a taut confrontation, the air thick with unspoken threats. The seemingly mundane life of her suburb morphed into a nightmarish maze, darkness shifting and trembling around her. As Tom's eyes narrowed, she realized the safety she believed in was a lie. He wore the mask of trust, but a monstrous truth lay beneath. Sirens echoed in the distance, but they felt like a fading promise. Panic erased any safety she thought she had. Could she save her children in time? Every instinct screamed for her to run, but running only broadened the chasm of danger surrounding them. As shadows stretched further into the night, Lisa was teetering on the edge of a terror that might just swallow her whole. All she could do was hope for a miracle amidst a cacophony of whispered horrors hidden behind every door. The night deepened, swallowing Maplewood in shadows as Lisa backed away from Tom's yard, the nervous tremble in her hands betraying her steely facade. She rushed inside her home, locking the door behind her with a click that echoed like a gunshot in the silence. The air in the living room felt electric, charged with the same dread that clung to her like a second skin. "Mommy?" Lily's sweet voice broke through her frantic thoughts, pulling her back to reality. The sight of her daughter tugged at her heart. Just a child, innocent and unaware, playing with plush toys. "Can I have some lemonade?" "Not right now, honey," Lisa whispered, her eyes darting towards the window. The deepening gloom outside seemed to pulse with an unspoken threat. "Just stay close to me, okay?" Jordan sat cross-legged on the floor, absorbed in a video game. He glanced up at her, his expression shifting from concentration to worry. "Is everything okay? You look scared." "Everything's fine," she lied, forcing a smile that felt breakable. She walked to the window, peering through the curtain. Her heart seized when she spotted Tom standing just outside, staring at her house, illuminated only by the flickering porch light. He was holding one of those canisters. His eyes glinted with something unsettling in the dim light. She backed away, the panic flooding through her body. The sirens she had heard earlier returned, suddenly much closer, their wails slicing through the oppressive night air. She felt heat creeping up her neck. If he could see her, if he was watching, what would he do next? "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily said softly, clutching her doll. "Can we play outside? It's not dark yet." "No!" Lisa's voice came out sharper than she intended. "We're not going outside." Jordan stood, concern etching lines across his young face. "What's wrong?" "It's just Tom. He's a nice guy." "No, he's not!" she shrieked. The swell of fear intensified as she caught a glimpse of Tom moving, inching closer to her front porch. She had to protect her kids, but how? The lights in the neighborhood flickered briefly, and for a haunting moment, everything plunged into darkness. The sudden silence that followed felt deafening. Just a heartbeat ago, the world had been vibrant, alive with sounds, but now, it was a stark void that threatened to swallow her whole. A flicker of light broke through as the lights returned, but Tom had vanished. Where had he gone? Not wanting to dwell on the thought, she rushed to the children. "Quick, we need to lock the back door too." Jordan and Lily followed, still confused but sensing their mother's rising panic. Once they secured the door, Lisa breathed deeply, trying to regain her composure. A prayer for safety fought to escape her lips. But then there came a knock. Soft, almost tentative at first, then turning deliberate and purposeful. Lisa froze, her heart pounding like a war drum. The knocking turned to a rhythm, echoing in the shell of her anxiety. "Mommy! What's that?" Lily whispered, trembling. "I don't know," she whispered back, glancing around, desperately searching for anything she could use. The kitchen knife? The baseball bat? But what would she do? She couldn't let Tom get inside. Not knowing what he was capable of, another knock more insistent. "Lisa! Open the door," a voice hissed from outside. Her breath quickened. It was Tom. "I just want to talk." She wanted to scream, to run, to do anything. But one thing was certain, he wouldn't leave until he got what he wanted. Stranded between two terrifying choices, she realized there was only one way to protect her children. Just then, a shadow flickered past the window, catching her eye. Was she imagining things, or was it something or someone waiting just beyond the glass? The knocking stopped. The silence was deafening. And then came a new sound, the unmistakable click of the doorknob turning. What would she do now? Would it be enough to keep her children safe? The answering chaos surged as adrenaline coursed through her veins, bringing her to a crucial breaking point. The doorknob rattled, sending a fresh wave of panic through Lisa. She had locked it, she was sure of it. But Tom was strong, and desperation could bend the rules. She pressed her back against the wall, willing her heart to settle, knowing that whatever he wanted, it wouldn't be good. "Mommy?" Lily's voice trembled, a thin layer of fear draping itself over the innocence of her question. "Stay back, honey," Lisa hissed, her eyes glued to the door. The silence that followed hung thick in the air, every creak in the house sounding like a scream. Then came a thud, heavy and deliberate, as if Tom were testing the strength of her home as much as her resolve. "You're being unreasonable, Lisa. I just want to talk. Let me in." She wanted to scream back, demand he leave, but words caught in her throat. Instead, she motioned for Jordan and Lily to crouch behind the sofa. Their wide eyes studied her, a mix of confusion and fear blooming within them. Lisa grabbed the kitchen knife, its cool handle a meager comfort in her sweaty palm. She edged closer to the door, peering through the peephole. Nothing but a dark void greeted her. The porch light had died, engulfing him in shadow. Could he still be out there? Waiting? Watching? Another violent thud against the door jolted her back, adrenaline coursing through her like wildfire. "Let's just go to the other room," she whispered urgently. She needed to buy time. They could call for help if they reached the phone. "Mommy, I don't want to be here, Lily whimpered, grasping her doll tighter. Neither do I, baby, Lisa whispered back, sweeping her arms around both children. They scrambled silently across the carpet, every footfall a midnight whisper. With an effort, she glanced back at the door, no sign of Tom. Where was he? Just as they reached the hallway, the power went out again. This time, it didn't flicker back. Blackness enveloped them, swallowing every breath, every heartbeat, until all that remained was the soft whimper of fear. Mom, I'm scared, Jordan's voice quaked. Shh. It's okay. Just stay close, she whispered back, though her own mind raced with horror. She could hear the muffled sounds of the world outside, a distant siren, the rustling of leaves, and then her heart nearly stopped as she heard it, a very faint sound, something like scratching at a window. Mommy! What was that? Lily's face was pale, wide eyes glancing at the walls as if they were closing in. Nothing, just the wind, Lisa couldn't convince herself, but she had to calm them down. She urged them to move toward the stairwell, hoping the second-story windows would provide them some vision, some chance of escape. But as she turned the corner, her foot caught on something, her breath left her body as she stumbled. The sound echoed around her, and in that instant, the scratching grew louder, a scrabbling noise that sent icy tendrils racing up her spine. Then came a sharp knock at the window above, forceful and jarring. Lisa! The voice was different this time, low and guttural. Let me in. Her heart raced as her mind reeled, recalling every horror movie cliché she'd ever ignored. This wasn't just fear. This was tangible, real, crawling up her skin and leaving trails of dread. She could feel something lurking, invading every corner of her home. Something sinister that had been hidden behind the facade of normalcy, waiting for the right moment to strike. Mommy! The cry was insistent, but Lisa barely heard it over the pounding in her ears. Gritting her teeth, she gathered her courage, clutching the knife as if it were a lifeline. Stay back! She shouted. Get away from my family! But would it be enough? What lay in the shadows, and would it come for them next? As if in answer, silence fell and the knocking stopped. But there was an absence, a deep and unsettling quiet. And then the faintest sound of breathing. Right on the other side of the door. Would she find the strength to protect her children? Or was the real horror just beginning? Lisa's grip on the knife tightened as she strained to hear above the echo of her own fear. The breathing was there, rising and falling, an unsettling reminder that too often the true monster lurked in familiar shadows. Mom! Jordan repeated, his voice a frightened whisper. Not now, she hissed, her eyes darting toward the hallway, desperate for a plan. They couldn't stay down here, not with Tom and whatever else this night had in store for them. She felt the darkness around her, nearly alive, pressing in closer. A sudden crash shattered the quiet, sending splinters of terror down her spine. A nearby window had broken. Had Tom forced his way in? Mommy! Lily squealed, clinging to her tighter. Shh. Please, just be quiet, Lisa begged. She fought a wave of panic crashing over her, pushing it down, steeling herself against the unknown. Look! Jordan exclaimed, pointing toward the stairs. Something flickered in the dark lights? Could it be their only chance? The second story might give them a vantage point, a plea for help. Okay. Let us go, she commanded, her voice barely above a whisper. They turned cautiously toward the stairs, the floor creaking underfoot. Each step felt like a risk, the tension pulling at her nerves like an elastic band stretched to the limit. Suddenly, the door splintered, a hard kick sending it flying open. Lisa could barely process it. Her instincts kicked in. Run! She shouted, propelling them toward the staircase. She held her breath, hearing the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps behind them, racing into her home. They sprinted up the stairs, the noise growing louder, more chaotic. He was right behind them. The hallway was dark and foreboding, shadows clawing at the corners. Lisa reached the window at the end, desperately circling back to the kids. Get in the room! She urged, her heart pounding in sync with their hurried breaths. There, at the end of the hallway, the door to her bedroom loomed like a portal to safety. But only if they could get there first. Inside, Hope flickered for just an instant as she pushed the door closed. She braced herself against it, her hands shaking, teeth clenched. "What lock do we have?" Jordan asked, panic etched across his face. "It's just a knob." It won't hold him back for long. "Should we go out the window?" Lily's small voice trembled, and the notion sent a fresh chill down Lisa's spine. The ground below was a dark abyss. "No!" she insisted, swallowing her own fears. "We'll stay here. We'll find a way." But the walls themselves seemed to tremble with a dark energy, almost vibrating with dread. A violent pounding erupted at the door, forcing her back to the wall. "Let me in!" Tom growled, but it wasn't just anger in his voice. There was something else, something jagged, almost feral, like a wolf pushed past its breaking point. "You can't hide forever, Lisa." The children huddled close, wide eyes filled with terror as they awaited their fate. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whispered, and that simple statement rang true. "He won't get us," Lisa vowed, though the chill that swept through her core forced her to question the lie. Then the lights above flickered, and Lisa caught a glimpse of movement in the hallway, a shadow darting past the door, glancing back at her. She felt the weight of a predator, keenly aware of her distress. "Mom, what was that?" Jordan said, his face paling further. "I don't know," she admitted, fear gnawing at her resolve. "Was it Tom? Or something worse, lurking, waiting in the dark?" Just then, another sound echoed, a soft patter, a slight whisper, as if being invited to come closer. "Get back!" Lisa shouted, clutching the knife, her heart racing. Would they manage to escape this nightmare, or had they merely exchanged one horror for another? The restless night lay ahead, filled with uncertainties. The question lingered in the air, what else would come for them as the darkness deepened. The pounding on the door grew frantic, each thud a chaotic heartbeat in the night. "Let me in!" Tom roared again, the fury in his voice evolving into a twisted, mocking laughter that sent chills racing down Lisa's spine. She pressed against the door, muscles taut, every nerve ending screaming in response to the terror that infiltrated her bones. "Mommy!" Lily whimpered, and Lisa turned to her, forcing a brave smile though her heart felt like it might explode from her chest. "Stay close. We'll be okay," she said, though each word stretched the limits of her conviction. Her grip on the knife trembled as the shadows danced, mocking her efforts to remain strong. In the hallway outside, the haunting rasps of breath now seemed to come from multiple voices, unintelligible murmurs wrapping around her like fog. A glance at Jordan revealed his wild, terrified eyes, searching for reassurance that wasn't entirely there. A loud crash from the window in the adjacent room nearly stopped Lisa's heart. "What was that?" Jordan cried, his voice shaking. "I don't know," she snapped. "We have to focus." The lights above flickered violently, casting eerie shadows that flicked at the edges of her vision. And just like that, the darkness seemed to shift, crawling closer, as if it had a life of its own. Another shadow appeared, this one larger, more solid, illegible against the wall, a dark figure moving just beyond the door. "Mom! It's not just Tom!" Jordan shouted, voice frantic. "I know!" Lisa yelled back. "We need to make a plan." She ushered them further back into the room, their breaths shallow, their fear palpable. The door rattled and the whispers crescendoed, now entwined with words Lisa couldn't comprehend. Then came another scream, not from outside but inside her own mind, a primal instinct fighting back. "We can't go out the window," she said sharply, mind racing. "If we go down there, we might not come back." "What if he gets in?" Jordan pleaded, dread lacing his voice. Silence punctuated by pounding shook the room. "We fight," Lisa decided, her voice growing steady with newfound resolve. "We have the knife. If it comes to it, we defend ourselves." "Tom was always nice, Mom," Lily said, a quiver in her voice. "He wouldn't hurt us, would he?" "Not anymore," Lisa replied, the words tasting bitter as they left her lips. She felt the weight of her memories crash around her, the laughter, the warmth that now felt like a cruel joke. A sudden shudder coursed through the room as the whispers began to take shape. "Let us in," they urged. "We can help." Shut up! Lisa shouted, echoing her burgeoning rage. You're not real! The children stared at her, wide-eyed and uncertain. The shadows writhed, closing in. She backed up against the wall, knife held high, adrenaline fueling her resolve. Then there it was, a glint of silver caught in the shifting light, something protruding from the floor, inches from where she stood. A shard of the broken window? She lunged for it, pulling it into her grasp, the jagged edges reflecting her frantic fear. Are you ready? Lisa whispered to the children, though inside she felt like a prey animal cornered by instinct. They nodded, all three of them synchronized in their dread, united by a fear that mirrored her own. With a sudden, bone-chilling crash, the door burst open. Tom stood there, eyes wild, features twisted in a way that sent a jolt of primal fear through her veins. You thought you could hide? He hissed, his smile stretching too far, dark and grim. But something else moved behind him, another presence, larger and more grotesque. The air thickened with a smothering dread, a darkness that felt sharp as it scraped against her lungs. And as the shadows enveloped him, Lisa knew the darkness wasn't just coming for them. It was alive, hungry, and thirsty for their screams. She readied the knife and the shard, hard hammering, knowing that this time, the fight wouldn't just be about survival. Get back! She shouted, desperation spilling from her lips as the nightmare lunged forward. What would happen next? Were they even prepared for this twisted confrontation? The darkness pulsed with hunger as the air crackled, and in that moment, a sinister reveal awaited them, a truth that would shake the ground beneath their feet. The darkness closed in, a suffocating blanket wrapping around them. Lisa's heart raced, each beat syncing with the chaotic rhythm outside. Tom's figure loomed larger, his expression betraying a mix of anger and desperation that twisted her stomach in knots. He stepped forward, his mouth moving, but the words were lost in the cacophony of whispers that seeped from the corners of the room, beckoning her to join them. Mom, what do we do? Jordan's panicked voice tugged at her. Lily clung tightly to her leg, eyes wide with terror. Stay behind me, she shouted, her voice wavering for just a moment. The knife felt slick in her grasp, a reminder that it could either save them or lead to their undoing. Tom raised a hand, and the shadows around him shifted, stretching and twisting with a life of their own. You think you can fight me? His laughter, once warm, now echoed with a chilling madness, like glass shattering in an empty room. Lisa summoned every ounce of courage. Get away from my children! She yelled, stepping forward, the broken shard clutched tightly in her other hand. The room grew colder, and the very walls seemed to shudder at her defiance. Behind Tom, the grotesque shape began to form, looming larger than any nightmare she could imagine. It was not human. It was a mass of swirling darkness with tendrils that pulsed and wriggled in the feeble light. Join us, it hissed, its voice wrapping around her mind like a vice. No! Lisa cried, anchoring her feet to the ground. I want tea! The shadows shied away from her fierce declaration, hesitating for just a heartbeat. Tom, momentarily faltering, narrowed his eyes at her. You're fighting what you don't understand. It wants you. It needs you. Lisa's breath quickened again, fear clawing at her throat. But she had to keep them safe. She took another step, heart pounding, lifting the knife and the jagged piece of glass for protection. Suddenly, the shadows surged, coiling around Tom's legs like serpents, pulling him toward the festering depths behind him. He struggled but was no match for the unseen force that held him captive. Mom! Jordan's voice was raw panic now, as he backed away, inching deeper into the corner behind her. No! Stay put! She barked, trying to maintain focus. The entity's whispers echoed with promises, and her stomach churned with dread. Help us, it beckoned sweetly. Given but inwardly she fought back, recalling everything that had ever mattered, her children, their laughter, the warmth of a real family before it all fell apart. The thought cemented her resolve. With a powerful breath, she lunged forward, adrenaline surging. Get away from him! She shouted. She thrust the shard at the creature, its shape writhing as if recoiling from her fierce intent. Foolish girl! It screeched, the fabric of its darkness beginning to unravel at her aggression. The shadows shrieked, drawing back momentarily, but in that retreat, Tom's gaze shifted to Lisa, a wild hope sparking in his eyes. "Help!" he gasped, desperation flickering. But with the smirk that returned to his lips, she knew it was the darkness controlling him still. Then, in an instant, Tom lunged toward her, the shadows tightening around him, intensifying his strength. Lisa had barely had time to react. With a rush, she spun, knife poised and ready, knowing one of them had to go down. She was set, determined to protect her children at any cost. Her heart thundered in her chest, visions of the life they could lose if she faltered drenching her resolve. But just as she faced him, the air shifted again, and another voice echoed an ethereal, haunting call that pulsed through the room. "Join us, Lisa, join us forever?" And the darkness around them surged wildly, a tempest of shadow and despair. Standing on the edge of hopelessness, Lisa understood then this wasn't just about fighting to survive. It was about losing everything she had ever loved. "Hold on, kids," she whispered. "We're getting out of here." And as the entity writhed and the darkness pressed in, a new shape formed just beyond the door, a shadow writhing that was now fully awake and ready to devour. What was it? And could they escape this nightmare alive? The air crackled with tension, each heartbeat echoing like a ticking clock. Lisa's eyes darted to the door. The new shape was indistinct, engulfed in shadows, but she could feel its presence. It was watching, hungry, and undoubtedly malevolent. "Mom!" Jordan's voice cut through the noise, rising in pitch as he gripped Lily tighter. Lisa turned her head just in time to see fear pooling in their eyes like a tidal wave ready to crash. "Stay close," she commanded, her voice stronger this time, laced with urgency. The whispers closed in again, swirling around them. They sang her name like a twisted lullaby, promising safety, redemption, even freedom if she would but surrender. "Join us," the creature cooed, its voice dripping with deceit. "Let us show you the way." But Lisa had been down that path before. She felt the weight of her past pressing down, memories flashing like lightning in her mind. Tom, laughter, warmth, and then the suffocating silence that had followed, crushing her soul. She wouldn't let them take her again. "Get away from my kids!" She screamed again, the knife held like a lightning rod, drawing the oppressive energy toward her. Tom twisted in agony as the shadows gripped him tighter, pulling, tugging, like tormented hands dragging him into the darkness. His face morphed between anguish and a predatory grin that chilled Lisa to her core. "You're afraid to let go, Lisa. Let it take you. It will set you free." She felt her resolve waver. Images of every time she'd chosen safety over love surfaced, every moment of despair flooding her thoughts, drowning out the present. But then she heard it again, the soft whimper of Lily, the frantic breaths of Jordan. Instant clarity ignited in her. "I can't," she whispered, but not in submission, rather with conviction. "No matter what you offer, I won't abandon them." Lurching forward, she raised the knife, ready for a fight. Shadows curled and shrieked, as if in pain, but the shape beyond the door trembled in anticipation, a grotesque silhouette against the darkness. It rippled, morphing, revealing areas not just shrouded in shadow but with glimmers of the grotesque. Catching the light, Lisa could see feigned smiles and hollow eyes gazing back. Then, a piercing howl erupted from Tom's lips, a sound that twisted the air like a knife. "Run, Lisa! You have to run!" he pleaded, but now there was clarity in his voice like a flash of the man she once loved breaking through the abyss. Lisa hesitated only a moment. Was this a trick? Did he mean it? Before she could process the thought, the entire room shook, the walls contracting inward, pulsating as if feeding off the chaos. She could almost feel the darkness breathing, a living thing trying to devour them whole. "Let us go now!" Lisa screamed, grabbing Jordan's hand with one of hers and Lily's with the other, their tiny fingers intertwining with her strength. They were unity, her strength against whatever monster awaited. As they turned to flee, the shadows lashed out, sweeping through the air like claws. The knife in her hand gleamed, slicing through uncertainty. Lisa fought against the tide, tearing through the darkness, but their escape was blocked. The entity coiled tighter, refusing to relinquish its prey. "No!" she cried, desperation clawing up her throat. "We won't be trapped, not again." But as they scrambled back towards the only door that led to safety, the shape outside twisted into something even darker, the very air chilling as it drew closer. It pulsed with dread, a maelstrom of fear and despair ready to engulf them. "Mom! It's coming!" Jordan shouted, his voice trembling. Just beyond the threshold, a face emerged from the shadows, crawling closer. Features twisted, eyes like dark pits boring into Lisa's soul. "Join us," it rasped, and in that moment, Lisa understood they were at the precipice where hope and despair intertwined, and the next choice could seal their fate. Could she fight this new horror? Or would her family be swallowed whole by the very darkness she now faced? The answer loomed, threatening to crack the fragile grip on her sanity. Deep within that shadow, something familiar stirred, something she had tried so hard to forget. The scream bounced off the walls, a crystal reminder of their precarious situation. Lisa shoved the shadows away, hurling herself and her children toward the door. She could hear the creature's laugh, a low rumble vibrating through the floorboards, taunting her resolve as it reached out with tendrils of smoke. "Run!" Lisa shouted, pulling her kids as close as possible. The knife felt heavy in her hand, but it was all she had. Their feet pounded against the wooden floor, echoing against the walls like a frantic drumbeat urging them onward. Lily whimpered, fear evident in her voice. "Mommy, what is happening?" "Just keep going," Lisa cried back, her throat dry. As they reached the door, Lisa wrestled with the knob. It felt cold, the metal seeping chills into her palm. The moment they stepped into the hallway, a gust of wind slammed the door shut behind them, the sound like a gunshot in the suffocating silence. "Where do we go?" Jordan's voice quavered, eyes wide with terror. She took a moment to breathe, scanning the dimly lit hallway cluttered with memories, a home once filled with warmth now draped in shadow. It was as if the walls were closing in, wrapping around them like a suffocating embrace. Her heart raced, urging her to flee, to escape this nightmarish grip, but every path ahead was a minefield. "Mommy?" Lily tugged at her shirt, and Lisa's heart twisted for both her children. Their innocence was a beacon amid the looming dread. "Down the stairs. We can get outside," Lisa said, her voice rising with determination. She ushered them onward, forging ahead as a draft sent chills along her spine, adding an urgency to their escape. The stairs creaked ominously under their weight, as if the house itself mourned their flight. In her mind, thoughts ricocheted. Tom's face, his pleading eyes haunted her. Was he drawing nearer in the chaos? Or was the darkness this entity's true form? She brushed the confusion aside. Lily and Jordan needed her focus now. As they reached the base of the stairs, something flickered in the corner of her vision, shadows lengthening, coiling toward them. "Faster!" Lisa urged, her scream nearly lost in the cacophony of rushing air. Suddenly, the front door burst open, revealing a storm outside, wind whipping through, crashing raindrops echoing like 1,000 tiny fists against the ground. "Mom!" Jordan called, trembling. "We're almost there." She pressed on, each flicker of lightning illuminating the monstrous face hiding in the shadows, offering glimpses of its wicked grin. Just as they stepped outside, a deafening clap of thunder shook the ground beneath them, and the air turned electric with danger. Lisa turned back one last time. "Run!" But the words faded as she caught sight of the shape emerging in the doorway, now abundantly clear. It was not just a figment of their fear but a grotesque mirror of all her heartaches, her failures. "Join us," it echoed, its voice weaving through the storm, pulling Lisa's heart toward the abyss. "No!" she screamed, the knife still clutched tightly. The entity coiled, ready to strike, and the reality of their survival felt tenuous, fragile as a thread in a hurricane. "Mom, help!" yelled Jordan, grabbing her pants with clammy hands. With a final resolve, Lisa turned back to the storm, its chaos seeming almost a reprieve from the darkness behind them. But as they sprinted into the night, she felt a dread certainty wash over her. Whatever lay ahead would be fraught with danger. The choice to escape would lead them into unknown horrors. "Keep moving!" she shouted, desperation and determination entwined. But beneath the pounding rain, a sinister truth loomed. What if the darkness followed? What if it never let go? As thunder cracked open the sky above them, the shadow unleashed a howl that shattered the night. Something within Lisa whispered that their fight for survival was only just beginning. What awaited them in the storm? The rain pelted down hard, blurring their vision as Lisa pushed forward, pulling her children along. Each step felt heavier, the weight of fear settling into her bones. The world around them had transformed into a dizzying whirl of shadows and sounds, a cacophony that twisted her stomach in knots. "Mom! I can't see!" Lily cried, her voice barely breaking through the storm's roar. "Stay close!" Lisa shouted, her heart pounding in her chest. The knife felt impossibly small in her grip, a poor defense against what lurked behind them. Each rumble of thunder echoed like a drum, marking their fledgling hope with a grim reminder of danger. A flash of lightning illuminated the street, and for a split second, Lisa glimpsed the creature chasing them. Its form was a vile mixture of shadows and slick, glimmering tendrils, writhing in the aftermath of the storm's rage. Every flicker made its presence undeniable, even as it melted back into the darkness, ready to strike. "Move!" she urged, feeling their small hands slip through her fingers. The ground was slick with mud, each step treacherous, like quicksand pulling them down. Ahead, a flicker of light caught her eye, a distant street lamp, struggling against the oppressive darkness. "There! We can make it to that light!" Jordan was sobbing, tears mixing with rainwater, fear clouding his bright eyes. "What if it gets us, Mommy?" Taking a deep breath, Lisa fought back the panic clawing at her chest. "Nothing will happen as long as we stick together. Just keep running." They sprinted, the distance between them and the light narrowing with each desperate stride. But then, from behind, a chilling whisper slid through the storm, thick and syrupy. You can't escape. A shiver raced down her spine, the hairs on the back of her neck standing alert. Frantic, she glanced back. The creature was closing in, its figure twisting like smoke in the wind. "Faster!" Lily stumbled, but Lisa caught her. Her grip remained tight, fierce, unwilling to let go. "You're okay. Just a bit further." They tore through the rain-soaked streets, but the light flickered uncertainly, as if even it was afraid of the shadows clawing for them. Just as they thought they might reach safety, the wind howled, whipping around them like a demon, sending them tumbling. Rough hands grasped her, cold and clammy. No. It couldn't be. Panic surged as Lisa tried to shake off that grip, but it tightened, pulling her into the abyss. "Mom!" Jordan screamed as he witnessed the darkness wrapping around her. Lisa fought, tears mingling with the rain that fell from her face. "Get to the light! Run!" But just as they began to scurry forward, the light blinked and died, plunging them back into shadow. A resounding silence descended, even the storm hesitated, as if waiting for the horror to unfold. "No!" she cried out, her voice breaking. The darkness enveloped her and her children, suffocating and consuming. She could feel its breath, cold and malevolent, wrapping around her like a noose. She gripped her knife, heart thrumming madly. In the distance, she thought she heard a laugh, a cacophony of sorrow and satisfaction that sent a spike of terror through her veins. "Mommy, I can't see you," Lily whimpered, her small voice echoing her dread. "We'll find the light again." Yet, as the shadows closed in, Lisa felt the cold fingers of despair clutching at her heart. With every moment, it became clearer. Some darkness was meant to abide, and then, the laugh transformed into a chorus of voices, weaving together a tapestry of screams and cries. You belong to us, no escape. No refuge. What awaited them in this suffocating darkness? And was the storm only a mask for something far more sinister? Lisa's mind raced with dread as she realized they might not be alone at all. The storm continued to rage, relentless and unforgiving, but Lisa felt a flicker of determination ignite within her. As the darkness closed in, she clung tightly to her children, their small hands intertwined with hers, grounding her in the chaos. "Stay together," she whispered urgently, her voice barely cutting through the cacophony of wind and thunder. "We'll find the light." They had to. She couldn't allow fear to snuff out the last embers of hope. Guided by instinct, she pushed through the swirling shadows. The air felt alive, thick and gelatinous, wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. Something dark and monstrous fought against them. Each step was a battle as they trekked toward the distant glimmer she had glimpsed before. The street lamp, though flickering, was their beacon. "Mommy, I'm scared." Jordan's voice trembled, breaking through the churn of echoes surrounding them. "I know, sweetheart, but we're together. Keep moving." Lisa squeezed his hand, a promise of safety that caught in her throat. The mocking laughter that followed chilled her bones but stoked her fierce resolve. She would not let this nightmare consume them. Another flash of lightning illuminated the beast pursuing them, its form twisting in agony, an embodiment of shadows that seemed to morph into grotesque shapes. It was hungry, she could feel it, a voracious malice that gnawed at her spirit, urging her to submit. But she steeled herself, knowing that succumb meant losing everything, not just her life but her children's innocence. "Over there!" Lily shouted, pointing through the rain. "I see it!" The light pulsed like a heartbeat, inviting and fragile, and Lisa propelled them forward with renewed urgency. They raced toward it, tearing through the mud-slick streets. Each thought, each breath, was a plea for survival. But the shadows surged, like jaws snapping at their heels, weaving tendrils of despair among the storm's fury. "You can't escape!" the darkness hissed, splintering their confidence. Lisa felt a prickle of doubt, a brush against her mind. Would this creeping dread ever relent? "Mom!" Jordan's scream shattered that uncertainty. He had stumbled, fallen into the mud, his grounding slipping away. Panic shot through Lisa as she turned back. "No! Get up, baby!" With a burst of strength, she rushed back to him, pulling him close, rain mingling with tears. "We can't quit now," she said. "We're almost there." The light was mere steps ahead, flickering wildly as though straining against the force of encroaching shadows. Lisa lifted Jordan, determination burning bright, wipes of rain streaking across her face. "We've got this. Don't give up." Together, they surged forward, Lily running by her side, the light flickering in time with their hearts. With one final push, they burst through the intangible wall of darkness, tumbling into the halo of light. It enveloped them, warm and safe, expelling the shadows that whispered for their souls. The storm raged on, but here, in the glow of safety, hope bloomed. Lisa gasped for breath, feeling the weight of danger lift, if only for a moment. They stood together, panting, but now in the shelter of resolve. "Are we safe?" Jordan's voice was faint, exhausted. "For now," Lisa replied, though she knew the moment might only be temporary. As they turned to face the remnants of the storm, the swirling darkness pulled back, hissing like a wounded beast that had lost its prey. "You cannot hide forever!" It thundered, but its voice, once insidious, now felt distant, diminished by their defiance. Emerging from the light, they witnessed the creature falter, shadows receding as the storm wore on. They had fought back, together, and there was a power in that unity that darkness could not break. "Let us go, we can't stay here," Lisa urged, reclaiming her strength. They turned away from the chaos of the storm and stepped past the light, climbing each step back to safety, back to the embrace of their home. As they opened the door, sunlight broke through the clouds, dazzling, blinding, as if to greet their return from the brink. The shadows were still out there, lurking in the fringes of memory, reminding them of how close they had come to being swallowed whole, but they carried with them the knowledge that together, they could face anything. Lisa hugged her children tightly, whispering words of love and reassurance. "We'll keep moving forward," she vowed, and as they stepped into the day fully, the dark storm finally faded, becoming just another shadow of what could be a memory eclipsed by the strength of their bond, an indelible mark left by their fight for survival. They were alive. They were free. And together they had carved a sliver of light in the darkest of nights. Now, here's where you come in. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let others experience this chilling journey. I want to hear from you, so flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, and thoughts about this heart-stopping conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Your support means everything. Together, let us keep the stories alive.